Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Rose.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
This is our preview for The White Lotus Season 3, Episode 7, the penultimate episode of this
Oh,
season.
we're almost at the end. This season has
I
blown
know.
by.
It's like a part of me is grateful, obviously, that we had a longer season of The White Lotus than we've had some in the past, but at the same time, it does still feel like we are going really, really quickly. So the first
That's
thing
what happens when you have a really good season.
It's what happens when we're all having a great time and we all know something terrible is happening and we just want to push it down the road as far as we possibly can.
Right.
I think one big takeaway, obviously, just from watching the promo and sort of reading what's happening for what's coming up, another night episode. You know, we're getting a couple of these this season, but this is a particularly dangerous night episode given that we have a Rick confrontation. We might have people going to this fight that we've kind of heard about here and there throughout this season. We also have the house party.
Yeah, Greg's death dinner party seems to be coming up as well. Yeah, this is going to be a very, very dangerous night where people can make the right decision or the wrong decision.
Yeah, like, is Greg actually going to kill Belinda, or rather at least try?
Or everybody at that party.
Yeah, like, there's a lot that is on the line entering this episode, and at the very least, he could be gathering information to then maybe take out Belinda a little bit later. Like, there are so many different scenarios that could unfold here.
Yes.
Before we get into any more of them, though, be sure to hit that subscribe button because, yeah, we're going to be here through the rest of White Lotus with reviews, theories, all sorts of good stuff. I know there's only a couple episodes left, but here's the other great thing. After the White Lotus is The Last of Us. HBO has looked at all of us and was like, we know that you guys have missed our content. So now we are giving you a lot of content. I don't know why it sounds like, I don't know when.
HBO, voice of God.
Yeah, I know. The HBO voice of God is blessing us with great content. We're looking forward to covering The Last of Us greatly.
Absolutely. We're also going to be covering The Handmaid's Tale. We have Yellow Jackets going on here. There's all kinds of great stuff going on at the channel. So hit that subscribe button.
Yeah.
And follow us over on our Patreon. We have a link for you below. Over there, we are covering exclusively The Pit, which is airing on Max. We're going to be covering Bosch Legacy. That's coming up really soon. And we're also going to be covering Andor. If you're into Star Wars, we love Star Wars. Those three shows are going to be covered exclusively on our Patreon for our Patreon. So thank you so much to everyone who has joined. It really helps us.
Thank you guys so much. We appreciate that greatly.
All right, let's talk about Zion telling his mom, you know, maybe we should go to that party and see what Greg has to say. I was just like, Zion, no, maybe you should go and see what he has to say. I mean, at this point, obviously, it feels a lot like maybe Belinda hasn't told him everything yet when he's saying that, or at least that's how I'm hoping it's going. Because if he knows what Greg Gary has done, then I feel like he's going to be like, let's invite Greg here for dinner at the White Lotus instead.
Yeah, I kind of feel like at this point, if you're Belinda, the best case scenario may just be just trying to steer clear of this guy in whatever form you can. But I guess it's also complicated, I guess, just by the fact that, okay, he knows where you're staying. He seems to have pretty easy access to the resort whenever he wants because of the money. Like, I get wanting to have answers. I don't get the idea of going to his place in order to get them.
Yeah, especially now that she has this offer on the table where, you know, she had said, oh yeah, I had this relationship with Tanya where maybe I was going to get to start my own thing, and her man, he's a man now, is like, hey, I think that's a great idea, and I think that we could do that together here for less money. Like, this could be something you and I could actually feasibly put together. So like, this could be less about, oh, I'm out here for just training and then I'm going to leave, I have to see Greg again, or I might actually be staying here now, so I do have to work out whatever problem is going on with Greg because I want to stay here.
And this is where all of my fears just creep down into my soul because of the fact that it seems like Belinda and Hot Resort Guy might actually be able to have some sort of like legitimate future together, and Greg could be coming in here to sweep it all away. I mean, I guess that the good question mark news in the midst of all of this is that we see at the start of the season, you know, it's daytime when Zion hears the shots and everything is going down. So like, in that sense, okay, Belinda must not die at the party, but at the same time, like, this is my biggest worry is just that she's gonna go to the party with Zion. She's gonna end up spilling the beans to Greg Gary about everything that she knows. And then him, because Greg is, power hungry and also a little bit cowardly. He clearly didn't do the deed himself with Tanya. He didn't, he hired people.
Right.
That he's then going to hire people to then take out Belinda the next day. And like that's the obvious answer to me as to what all the chaos and commotion is about. It's just that Greg has hired people and they're coming to take out Belinda, and Zion hears it and it's really worrying for his mom.
Well, that's the thing. Like, tinfoil hat, do I think that Greg Gary's actually going to bring everybody up there and serve them poisoned fruit? I don't. I don't think he's going to want to have a bunch of dead bodies in his house, that he is cowardly. He will just hire someone else to do it for him. So he's got kind of clean hands. I think he is bringing everyone up there to intimidate them.
Yes.
And make everybody feel like he's in charge and that, they stepped over the line and it's not okay. And if they don't just leave him and his woman alone or leave him alone entirely, like Belinda, that bad things will happen. I think he's just going to go up there, throw out a bunch of threats, and hope that everybody just leaves him alone.
Yeah, and I think with Saxon, who I think it's possible that Saxon's going to go to this party. I have no idea why he would ever want to go there, given the confrontation that's coming, his own trauma that he's dealing with.
Yeah.
But in the event that he does actually go to this terrible party, I could see it being a situation where Greg is just sort of like, I know what your family does for a living. This doesn't sound like Greg at all, but I can ruin your family's lives, your careers, and then Saxon's going to be spiraling, being like, oh no, I've destroyed my family's empire, not knowing that his own father has basically done that already, and it just could like put both of them on this collision course of awfulness.
Yeah, we've seen that a bit in the comments here at the channel. People thinking that maybe Greg knows Tim from business dealings or kind of has an idea about him and kind of knows what's going on and might have more information, or maybe he's just seen it on the news at this point and is just going to bring it up to just destroy Saxon. But for me, Saxon going to this party where Chloe is like, oh yeah, he knows and he's okay with it and he just wants you to come up. They're going to have to really convince me that Saxon would want anything to do with partying, seeing Greg, being around Chloe anymore, any part of anything with the trauma of what happened when him and Chloe and Locke were together. I feel like I'm going to have a very hard time believing that he's going to be like, you know what? Let's go to the party.
This is the only way I could see him actually going, is in the event that Chloe now comes to him and is just like, if you don't go, I'm going to tell everybody what you did with your brother. And then he's just going to be like, okay, because Chloe needs this situation to be resolved to maintain whatever it is her way of life is, where she has basically said at this point, there are good things about him. Sure, he might also be capable of murder, but it seems like she does not really want to leave this life. Like, there's clearly something about it she still finds value in. And if it means having to threaten Saxon to show up and then Saxon has to go to the monastery and pull away Lockie and that's going to leave Piper alone, like, I think that's certainly a viable thing that could happen.
It was interesting to see Locke talking about his dark desires. That's where it all came out in this last episode, that he was like, yeah, I'll spend the night with you out here, Piper. No problem. I got you. And then they're all in this meditation. And then it all comes flooding back what he did with Saxon. That we have this scene in the trailer where he's talking to Piper where he's just like, I don't want to give in to my dark desires. Like, they're coming out here sort of thing. I don't really know what to do about it.
Yeah, this is a guy who's just been so painfully repressed, and whether that is due to, his brother, men, other people, like all of that is something that still kind of has to be figured out over the rest of the season. And maybe we'll get a little bit of that. I think it's also it's going to be hard because I'm sitting here and thinking there's 2 episodes left. There's not a lot of time, even chronologically on the show, to really figure out what's going on with Lockie, especially given that his father may be arrested at any given moment and his brother and or him may be threatened by Greg Gary.
Yeah, so we also had this scene with Saxon where he was talking to his dad and was just
Yeah.
like, I think that comment that Chelsea said, that he is soulless, really stuck with him because I think he's tried to put on this facade that he's this tough guy, protein shakes, I
Yeah.
get the business, I get the women, I got it all kind of thing. But inside, he knows that none of that's really true. He only has this business because of his dad. He's not really getting with women, he's getting with his brother. And like, nothing is really for him. He doesn't know who he is. He's just this rudderless boat and doesn't know what's happening. And he's talking to his dad about it more openly now, where he's just like, without this, I am nothing. I have nothing. I don't mean anything. And
And
I understand it to some degree. Like a lot of people, myself included, feel a validation in doing a good job or having work and they put themselves into their work. And where Saxon hasn't worked for anything, him being given this spot,
yeah.
he wants it to fill his soul.
Yeah, and if he doesn't have anything else, that's going to make the end of this so much more painful because we all know, there's no way Timothy's coming out of this with this job still intact.
No, Saxon's going to have to, without this job, actually face who he is and figure out who he
Yes.
is. And it is a tough road to be on, but it can be a very fruitful one.
This is a really weird show where we all come around and we're like, no, Saxon's nobody's favorite character in the world, but it's
No.
like we can understand him emotionally, I think, a little bit more at this point. But as we look towards Rick, I mean, we have both made our love of Walton Goggins very, very real. This has been a very strange experience going from watching him here to then seeing Baby Billy on the screen like 10 seconds later if you're watching live on HBO.
So good, Righteous Gemstones.
But
If you're not
yeah.
watching, you should be. The show is great.
Yeah, but it's a situation here with Rick where he has this confrontation now with Jim Hollinger. Like he's shown up there, it seems based in the preview,
Yep.
that he's pulling out the gun. And here's the problem with this is just that once you get to this point where you're pulling out the gun to him, you kind of have to take him out if he is a really bad guy, because if you don't, you let him go, he's going to come back around and take you out. And then that's an explanation as to what happens at the resort. And, we did this whole video about how Rick could die. So it's a very real possibility now that we know it goes to this point.
Unless everybody's feelings and theories are true and it comes out to be true that this is not the person that took out Rick's father, but is actually Rick's father, and that his mother lied to him and that she made up this story to either save him the pain or whatever, that his father actually just left. And that's what it's actually about. And then he learns that this is actually his father and is like, well, oopsie, and puts the gun away and is like, okay, I didn't know. I thought you were the person who killed my dad and I'm here to, avenge you.
Here's all I know is that whether this is his real father or not, I want him to come away from this with the sentiment of, okay, you know what really matters? The people who are the closest to me and the people who do love me and want to be around me, and that is Chelsea. I want these two to have this blissful romantic ending on a show that is unfortunately really cynical a lot of the time.
It would be really nice, but seeing that scene in the elevator, it went by really fast where Rick is all smiles. You got Frank in there with the biggest glass of alcohol I've ever seen, which is not great. That means that he's off the wagon, and two women in the elevator, all of them laughing and joking. I'm like, nothing good is happening here. Clearly, Rick has left the place and they are celebrating something, and it's not what Chelsea.
I'm terrified. I still want there to be some sort of happy conclusion here, but it just feels like he's somebody who has been fantasizing a lot of dark endings to this story for a long time, thinking that it's going to help him. And I don't know, no matter how wonderful Sam Rockwell's monologue was, I just don't know if that's going to be enough to really heal him and have him open his eyes here.
Let's talk about the trio of friends.
Okay.
Because that is definitely amping up. In this past episode, we had Lori confronting Jacqueline about what happened with Valentine. Jacqueline is lying about it. It is like building, building, building. And originally, Lori was like, I don't want anything to do with Valentine anymore. We're
Yeah.
not going to this fight anymore. And now she's all like, yeah, let's go to this fight. Let's go to this fight. It feels like she is starting to get ready to unravel Jacqueline, because Jacqueline is not happy with her and is just like, listen, if you're not happy with your life, do something about it. And she's just continuing to be, rude to her and needling her. And I can see Lori being like, okay, you want me to do something about it's going to make me happy? How about the takedown of Jacqueline? Let's go to this fight. Valentine will be there. Will be all kinds of stuff going on at this fight.
I think
Let's stir the pot.
there's going to be a lot of pot stirring at this fight. Like, I feel like not any story is going to be like necessarily fully wrapped up in episode 7, but I
No.
think we're going to get a good sense as to where certain ones are heading. And I think
Right.
there is going to be a dramatic event for these 3 friends at this fight. It's a place that has a certain amount of public air to it, I guess you can say. There's a relatively high profile event there, at least for the community. I think the thing that I'm the most excited about personally is that my guy Vlad, he's got to be at the fight,
I
right?
hope
We're gonna
so.
see Vlad again. I just want more of these like quirky, weird characters that turn back up, and so we can kind of get the wheels turning. And I know a lot of you out there think that Vlad may have been involved in the robbery.
And maybe he was, but we still like him.
No, I hear you. I see you. I'm just not listening to you. And I want to live in my denial that Vlad is just a very damaged person because of his mother and that he is going to find a way to recover. No, we're going to get to some sort of peak when it comes to that storyline here.
And it looks like we're going to have Guy Talk and Mook's first date, which is very exciting. I mean, they've really been building towards this.
Yeah.
They're so cute, and I really want this to work out. In this season where we have had some brotherly love, it is nice to just see something that is wholesome like them, or Belinda's storyline that's going on with her and her man. Like, it's just nice to have real love blossoming.
Okay, tinfoil hat here for
Oh.
this date. No, okay, it's good news and bad news.
Oh, I
Okay.
don't want to hear your bad news.
The good news is that I think maybe this date actually does go really, really well. Like,
Alright.
they do seem like they're sweet people who may
Yes.
care about each other.
Yes.
I know there's people who think Mook was involved in the robbery. Apparently
Maybe she
everybody's
was.
involved in the
Hey,
robbery.
you
But I
She
hope
does like those bodyguards.
I hope that it goes really well. But here is just my fear of knowing what we knew about Guy Talk. He's a little reckless. He's a little bit emotional. Maybe this goes so well that they end up staying the night together and then he oversleeps, or he goes to work the next day and he's just like, and he's got like, birds singing in his head or whatever, and he's not paying attention, lets in a bunch of just like hired people to take people out into the hotel. Vlad's not, Vlad is a saint. Nobody's doing anything with Vlad, but he ends up
Vlad is a saint.
Okay, Vlad's probably not a saint. Vlad is just, he is the best 2 minutes of the show, scored 30 points person we've seen all season.
Yes.
But I think there is a chance, though, that I think Guy Talk is going to just become so like blissfully in love and unaware that he makes yet another mistake at the security booth, because we've seen this so many times this season already that I could see him creating the problem. But then because he's had the training that he's had, is going to be like, I'm going to be John Rambo now, and I'm going to go in and then save the problem. But then he's probably going to end up doing something that's both good and bad. We've had people in the comments basically be like, okay, White Lotus endings, they've often been kind of comedic, even if terrible things have happened, whether it be Armand or the way in which Tanya died.
Yes.
And I think there might be some of that, but I'm bracing for kind of a little bit of a darker ending this season, because I don't think Mike White just wants us to assume that every single time it's going to be the equivalent of Armand doing his business in a suitcase. I think we're going to see different things.
Yeah, I don't think Mike White wants to have a formula that everybody just figures out and it's going to be the same thing. He's already moved away from some of it with nighttime episodes this season already. So he is changing things up a little bit, and I think that that's good. I don't think we should be able to figure out what's going on this show.
Yeah, I think we could have a little bit of a bittersweet ending. I think just the biggest question that I have, and bringing it all back to Greg again, is just that, is he going to want to tie a bow on the Greg storyline this season and basically be like, okay, we've done everything we can with this character, because the only other possible outcome is that you move him somewhere else for the next season, and then he shows up there, and are the authorities going to get involved there? It's just like the longer you keep him, the more risk you have that you're just going to recycle the same thing over and over and over again.
This story needs to end. It's time. Like, we all want to see some sort of vengeance for Tanya.
Yeah.
And if they do just keep having him going from resort to resort and getting away with it, I mean, he's already told that story this season. Like, telling that same story again next season, I think it's got to be wrapped up.
You can bring back other people for season 4
sure.
with a different story. You can bring back Rick and Chelsea. You can bring back Vlad. Like, there's a lot of different possibilities that you can have for this show moving forward.
Oh my God, I don't need the Vlad to come back. Vlad is
Welcome
good.
to the Vlad Lotus,
Oh my God.
season 4. Vlad goes to an exclusive retreat in Europe, tells everyone about his mother. No, there's going to be, I'm excited for what they do in season 4, but we have to see what happens the rest of this season. But what do you guys think we're going to see on the White Lotus season 3, episode 7? Give us your thoughts, your theories. Hit that subscribe button. We don't want you to miss any other coverage. And support us further by joining our Patreon. That link is in the description below. We're covering The Pit on Max there, Bosch Legacy, and/or coming up. Thank you guys. We'll see you here next time.